Welcome to DeckerWright Corporations' discussion of backup and disaster recovery. The main reasons for backup have been, over the years, to recover from damaged or lost files. Another reason is to recover files from a different version from, say, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Fortunately, the things we see least are disaster recoveries that represent less than 1% of the total reasons for recovery. Traditional backup technology uses tape backups and tape backup software. It's very good at backing up files for file recovery. It's also good for archiving files where you can take tapes out of rotation and store them, so you can have a tape from 6 months ago or a year ago and recover a file from those periods. You can also do a full system recovery with a tape properly configured back on exactly the same hardware. Today's online backups are an increasingly popular solution with our customers. However, they don't really provide for archives. Since the customer pays by the gig, they typically don't keep more than 1 or 2 copies of a file out online. Also, there's no ability with today's online backup systems, the typical ones, to recover an entire server. And also the server recovery in the event of a disaster would be very slow, typically a gig a minute. So if you have 30 or 40 gigs of online storage, it could take a day or more to get that data downloaded back in order for you to begin a recovery. Other problems with traditional tape backups that we've seen in recoveries that we've done recently: the customers don't typically check the backups, so they don't know whether their backups are happening, or what we've seen on many occasions is the customer staff is actually rotating blank tapes. Customers also don't frequently archive tapes. They'll have their week of tapes or 2 weeks of tapes, but they don't pull them out of rotation to archive them. And customers rarely take the tapes off-site to prevent against data loss in the event of a facility loss. Backup and disaster recoveries, tapes and disaster recovery requires the same tape hardware and software for recovery. That's important, so that if you lose your facility and you've got a 6-year-old server, in order to read the tape that you've got off-site, we need to have exactly the same tape system and exactly the same software to read that tape. Most customers don't provide for that. We also have to have the same hardware platform so that the recovery can be performed. Typically, that's impossible. In the 8 recoveries over the last 2 years, the backups provided only the data. We had to replace the servers with new servers, fresh installs, reinstall all the applications, and then recover the data from the tapes. That typical scenario, and again, this is based on our real-world experience with crashes over the last number of years. First, we get a report the server's crashed. We send our staff out. We try to recover the server. The decision's typically made to replace the server because the servers we're replacing are so old. We get the server in, we install the operating system and get it ready to go, reinstall the applications, recover the data from tape. Typically it involves the application software company getting involved to do final configuration or upgrades. Normally there are operational issues that go on for about another week after that, so really it's anywhere from 5 to 10 business days before the customer's back at a state that they were in before the server crash. How much would a day of downtime cost your business? DeckerWright's backup and disaster recovery solution combines local file, archiving, and off-site server image storage. We fully manage, monitor, and maintain the solution, and that's important. We watch it. If there's an error in it, we get notified and we go fix it. Recovery files in minutes from this morning, yesterday, or last month. Our BGR solution also provides the ability to virtualize an image of your server so that it can be accessed in hours instead of days in the event of a server crash. We use VMware virtualization technology to achieve that, and that technology also allows us to move the virtualized server onto a new hardware platform when it arrives. Our offsite storage also allows the virtualization of server in the clouds to facilitate disaster recoveries when the entire facility is lost. Here's how the backup works. Every hour, each server on your network backs up to our backup and disaster recovery appliance. Those server backups are collapsed every night into a daily backup that's pushed out over the internet to our cloud server that's on the West Coast. For file recovery, file recovery is actually done using Windows Explorer. You can pick a snapshot to record from. It could be an hour ago, 2 hours ago, yesterday, last week, or up to 6 months ago. Full snapshots of the server are available for longer term off copying. So we can copy the full server images off onto an external hard drive, which you can store and keep as a longer term archive. How file restores works: first you select the backup you're going to restore from. You mount the backup as a volume in Windows. You go to the Windows Explorer, you pick the files you want to restore, put them where you want, and then you unmount the restore volume. Very simple process. The backup BDR server recovery process. Our backup system actually virtualizes the images of the servers every day for testing. We want to make sure that the images that we're backing up are virtualizable, if you will. So we test that every day. If the server does fail, we pick a restore point. We'll walk through that process. The virtual server may be migrated to new hardware to schedule time, saving business downtime and setup time. The bigger thing is it saves many hours of recovery time. Typically a server recovery with a traditional disaster recovery, DeckerWright would get anywhere from 30 to 50 hours billable time in a recovery effort. This is much less. How virtualization works: first the server crashes, we arrive, troubleshoot the problem, and make a decision to use the BDR virtualization. We select the restore point and start the virtualization process. We boot the virtualized server, bring it up offline, and resolve any event log errors. There are errors that are generated when we go from a physical to virtual machine. They're common errors, but they need to be worked through and resolved before we can bring the server online for access by your employees. That whole process from the time we start virtualization to the time the server is available is typically around 4 hours. Could be longer, could be less, depending on the amount of data that was on the server being virtualized. In the event of a facility failure, we go to the cloud and we can virtualize the servers in the cloud. So in essence, we can recreate your network in our data center on the West Coast. We use the same basic technology as we use on the local BDR, and we can set up, again, a virtual cloud network for the customer. And this is useful both in a disaster recovery scenario, but it also affords us the ability to use those virtual images to do testing of new software. If a customer has a new application they want to try out, we can virtualize the server, bring the new server up online, and test it out. Techie stuff. We use industry-leading technology from Intel, Microsoft, StorageCrest, and VMware. We can make our server appliance a member of Active Directory to share the same security, and we include any software, hardware, and licensing that's required for it, including tech support for the entire time the BDR is on site. It's a secure solution. The backup data is encrypted at rest on the server. The backup data is encrypted while it's online and in transport, and the system meets all HIPAA security and breach rule requirements. DWC's BDR has a lower monthly cost than many of the online backup services. Service includes our monitoring service, ongoing support, warranty parts replacement. It's a complete solution. Customized pricing is based on the number of servers and online storage the customer needs. Please contact me at DeckerWright Corporation for a price quote. The number there is 732-747-9373. Hit 1 for sales, or you can email me at mhw@deckerwright.com. Thanks for watching.